So let's talk about 508c1a trust scams. As you start diving into the world of trusts and go deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole, if you're persistent enough, smart enough, and lucky enough, you're going to stumble across IRS code 508c1a. So there's a lot of mystery around this because public agents don't want to acknowledge that this code is even there. A quick Google search can confirm it actually is. You can Google that code and it will pull up the repositories on several different websites, and you can confirm that it is actually written there. IRS code 508c1a, talking about a variety of different entities that are exempt from filing. And it is a subsection of 501c3, which every public agent does know and most people are familiar with, which is the nonprofit subsection of the code. So all nonprofit means is that business entity, by its entity structure, is not allowed to make a profit. So they receive donations only. They're not allowed to take in, income as it's considered. And because they take only donations, under the IRS code, donations are always tax deductible. So you cannot be taxed on a donation. And what's interesting and so confusing about 508c1a is that why would you have a part of the code that is a nonprofit part of the code and then have a double negative underneath that hidden in the margins where there's only a certain small list of entities that are exempt? Why wouldn't you just list them as far as, oh, these entities are exempt? And part of that is because that's, how you're getting to the center of the rabbit hole. Because they want it to be intentionally confusing and obtuse and, again, very difficult to find. You have to really have persistence to start even finding any information out and watching videos like this, which would absolutely bore the hell out of most people. But if you're the type of person that really cares about your assets and your life, then, well, here you are. And part of the issue is, because there's such little information and there's no big public agents that will ever come out and back this. So this idea of, people following other people and social proof, it's a lot harder once you start getting into, the private section of the law and the code, because very few people do it. And of the ones that do, there's many shady characters that try to, just waste your time, basically. And that's the interesting thing about what happens. Once you get to the center of the maze, the difficulty is the psychology of it. It's the fact that no one that does it. Like pretty much everyone around you is not going to operate this way. And so now you're searching how to operate this way. No one around you does it. And so you have to search off into the ether, and how do you know who to trust? There's all these different things, and you got to try to use your best discernment. And as far as the common scams, part of what people want you to believe is that it's very complicated. But the reality is, this code is not complicated. It's psychologically difficult. So if you're totally asleep at the wheel in this life, then you're not going to care about this because your life's great. You're just okay with being a slave. But if you actually care about your agency and your state of consciousness in this reality, then this is going to matter a lot to you. So that's why the psychology is the part that's really the most difficult. It's not the fact that anything about doing this is complex. It's actually incredibly simple, and it's so shockingly simple that I think it does shock people after they get through certain aspects of it. And that's not to say the life becomes completely easy. It definitely, you now call back more energy to put towards better uses. But it's not a complex process, and as you start going down this trust rabbit hole, many, many gurus out there will try to complicate the process so they can confuse you and then end up charging you a lot of money, basically. And I've paid lots of money for different trusts and just different things that, were subpar, that were just fake, that were me just kind of trying to research rabbit holes and see, is this real or is this not real? This sounds really good. Because even this trust, the bulletproof trust that I talk about, throughout this channel, aspects of it, the most common thing people say to me is, oh, that sounds too good to be true, to just not pay taxes, not file any forms. But if almost no one's doing it, then how is it too good to be true? Are you going to be one of the ones that actually makes the effort to do that? And that's just the start of the benefits. There's many other benefits, including the spiritual benefits, but just the fact of freeing up all that financial and mental energy there is going to, you'll be able to put those resources into what you really care about serving in this life. And as far as the scams, part of how you know it's a scam is keep it simple. Anytime you start hearing these fancy terminologies, like especially around exclusive equity and, all these like subderivative words that are just really long and like talking about going to court and doing all these things, these are all like big terms that are, they may be true, they may actually mean something under the law, but is not the first things that you need to be focused on. You don't need to be like a scholar that knows and pontificates on all these nice fucking terms. What you need to be is someone who implements, who actually learns something and then implements it into your actions so it changes your karma and the karma of those around you. So in order to actually implement that, it has to be actionable knowledge, not just fucking fancy term BS where you like learn a bunch of shit, in a book. No. And some of these people out there I see like have made private, trust type of courses and different things, and they really add all kinds of like embellishments and fancy crap. And at the end of days or weeks or months, people still don't have a private trust set up. So what the fuck did you even accomplish? Absolutely nothing. What you did was you followed a demon who was twirling a baton. And so there's a lot of baton twirling demons hovering around code 508C1A. Once that becomes in your awareness and you start to do your research, there'll be many that will pop up and they'll twirl their little batons. And so all these fancy words are definitely one red flag. One thing I've been hearing recently is getting 10 times your money back in bank deposits. Like, I don't really even know what that means. And yeah, there's certain like forms, like some 1099B or whatever bullshit. I don't even know. But there are rumors like this where it's like a baton twirling demon. It's like this thing that sounds so amazing and it hooks in people's brains easily because it's like, wow, I can just get 10 times my money back. Like, okay, as if that's not a Ponzi scheme or something that just sounds fantastical like a lottery. But people believe that, because it's like private or some ministry or whatever, then now all of a sudden I can apply to the government through a form and they're just going to give you 10 times your money back. Like, I don't know a single person that's done this. And yeah, there are rabbit holes where people are talking about this, but then what inevitably happens is you always hit a paywall and you pay some massive amount of money to find some secret thing that then is probabilistic in nature, meaning maybe for one or two people it might have worked. I don't know. Like, I've never met anyone. I've never actually met anyone or even seen anyone who actually can prove to me that it works. But many people talk about it. And so if you're one of the ones that's heard about that and you don't have a private trust, guess what? You've been wasting time following, one of many baton twirling demons. When you could have already gotten your trust set up, you could have already implemented and done all the basics before you start 10xing your money instantly through some form you file. So that's like another one specifically, but anything along those lines, things that are like, there's too good to be true, and then there's like, this kind of just thing that's far beyond that. I'm not really finding the words, but ultimately it's a spectrum, and there's a lot of history in the law behind the rules of why this trust works. But as far as some of the embellishments on top, even when it comes to like discharging debt, that is possible. And it is possible to use the public credit system to funnel money into the private and do all these like interesting, machinations to sort of get money appearingly out of thin air. But the thing is, it does take a lot of work actually. And you have to understand different parts of the law and the UCC and file the different forms. Sometimes you have to sue people. So even though you do get money, it's not an easy thing that you just snap your fingers and do. It is a process that takes work and consistency. And so ultimately, if you're looking at any of these embellishments and you have not protected your person and your assets in a private trust, like that's step one. So whatever place you're looking at, you need to be doing that first, and you need to be doing that quickly. So that's another thing. You know, a lot of these teachers, like, you'll spend months looking at, again, like pontifications, whereas you could, you know, join our community, and we have a track record of getting people set up in this quickly, like within days, sometimes within hours, you know, and there's testimonials right on the link below that you'll be able to see, you know, that show that. And there's been many, many people that have done it in a ruthlessly fast manner. And then you can focus on more important things, like some of the fancier things that are potentially out there. But most of that is distraction. And a lot of these, you know, fake scam 508c1a predators and demons that are out there twirling their batons, you really need to, like, use your discernment to actually get through that if you really want to be someone who's in service and who serves, you know, Christ, and, you know, who follows the common law, who really loves his brothers and sisters like himself. You know, that's, you sign a document that states that. And if you're someone who just wants, you know, a quick fix and you want to just kind of do some BS in this life, then this isn't for you. You know, there's a lot of like slick lawyers and other, you know, schemes out there. But if you're a person of service, then I highly recommend you join our community, and you can learn more how to implement this. You know, it will absolutely change the trajectory of your life. But the difficulty at this point, if you're even watching a video like this, is trying to sort through the maze and see what's real and what's fake. And in our community, we'll, you know, chop down like the fakes very quickly. You know, there's plenty of people in there who post things that are just, there's no proof behind it. And that's part of the rabbit hole. Once you start finding proof and a track record of consistency again and again and again in the open for a long period of time, that's what you need to be following. And a lot of these people hovering around this, they've just sort of popped out of nowhere. They use flash and bang to like sort of draw people in. And that could be psychologically with these like schemes that seem really great, but maybe are probabilistic or not practical, or take actually a lot of effort. And it could also be simply like just this fake, you know, this fake showing to appear to the appearance of success. Trusts are about service. That's what a trust is. When you're a trustee, you're trusted to serve others. So it puts you into a different paradigm of thinking when you're managing your assets in this life. Many of the people I see teaching trust, they don't embody the level of service, you know, to me. I mean, they'll talk about it like lip service, you know, talk about God and all these things, but then they're like flashing all this money and just trying all these like different like schemey sort of things that, you know, they could have just been getting right to the point and stop, you know, wasting fucking time. And so many people come into my community that have wasted an incredible amount of time, and frankly still probably do, looking at things that are like entertaining to them. And look, entertainment is fine. There's a lot of entertaining things that I, you know, have wasted time with. But, you know, at this point in my life, out here in the mountains, like, we barely have time, you know, to waste at all. When I was in the city in Miami, it was crazy. I did have a lot of time to fritter away. Here, you know, just to even go anywhere, you're hiking up and down hills. We're like, you know, hauling water on our backs at first when I got out here. Now, thankfully, we have a water tank we just got. And yeah, things are pretty crazy when you're like out in the middle of nowhere and you're struggling to survive. And there's many people in this reality that are in that place. I know many people are struggling. And so this trust is about simplification, not complicating your life and not doing like fancy things and fancy tactics. It's about how can we recall the energy that we have and spend it on, you know, more productively. So I look forward to seeing many of you in the community, and I wish you luck in your navigation through this maze. It's, you know, very tricky. There's many demons out there, and you're going to have to really, you know, I pray for you, because it's definitely not an easy thing to get the truth. And really, the truth is not what you think it is. It's very unpalatable. It's very unpleasant. At least, you know, at first, you know, there's a certain acceptance that you have to have with it, and in order to kind of move forward. But the Matrix, you know, the powers that be, things are not going to get better from here. You know, there's many pressures and many forces at work that are very dark. And so trusts and technology like this on a financial and spiritual level are very important to protect those and the things we love. So I'll see many of you in the next one, and I look forward to speaking with many of you. If you're in the school community already, please, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about, some of the scams you've seen out there. Maybe some of the time you've wasted. Just drop a comment, because I'd really like to know. There's many specific people and entities that I could call out in this, and I have in our community, and I'm probably going to consolidate all that just for everyone joining, because I want people to know specific names and to be able to really see why this is fake, because you can follow a thread of just things and you can start to see outright scams. You can see people just stealing information and then changing it slightly. You can see fake testimonials. There's all kinds of things that these people are doing, and just and also just overcomplicating it and wasting your time. So anyway, I've kind of spoken long enough about this, but this channel is about saving you time, because if you do it the right way, it will be quick, and then you can move on in your life and stop paying attention to this bullshit and worry about better things. Peace.